kids, the Mr. Flyer here, hope you're well. Now, I've been lucky enough to be riding this Street Triple RS for the last couple of weeks. I've put several hundred miles on the bike. I've ridden it in all sorts of conditions and weathers on all sorts of roads. So what I want to do in this video is explain some of those practical things about owning and operating a Street Triple RS. The sorts of things that you don't necessarily get in a 1-hour test ride. So what's the bike like when you wash and clean it? What's she like in town? What's it like to ride at night? That sort of thing. So stick around for the next few minutes and I'll tell you what it's like to live with the Triumph Street Triple RS.
So it's all very well having a fabulous motorcycle like the Street Triple RS to blat around the lanes, but what's it like if you have to commute? What's the bike like around town? Well, let's go and find out. So thanks to the Street Triple being so light, she's a joy to filter with. And they've done a great job on increasing the turning circle over the years on the bike. So it's a lot more manoeuvrable if you're in a tight spot. So you're not going to get stuck behind cars. You can sort of wangle your way out. So as an in-town urban bike, works really, really well. At slow speeds, there's no complaints from the engine. Loads of torque out of this little triple engine. And she doesn't complain at low speeds, you know, in traffic type stuff. So you could certainly commute on the Street Triple. The only downer, of course, is perhaps lack of storage space for stuff. So if you've got to carry your laptop or whatever to work, then you're going to need a rucksack or something like that. These bar end mirrors work really well, so you get a good idea of what's going on around you in the traffic. And yeah, as a tool to get you to work, I think no problem at all. So no big surprise really. The verdict on what the Street Triple's like in town is absolutely great. I can't think of too many bikes that are better really. Perfect bike for the urban environment. So how about riding the Street Triple RS in the wet? Well, it's been raining all night here. It stopped raining now, but the roads are very damp and wet generally. So of course all normal precautions apply. But there's no doubt things like the excellent ABS and traction control, when you've got slippery, greasy roads like this, are a brilliant addition. And this particular version of the new Street Triple, the RS, has the Pirelli Supercorsa SP tyres fitted. I think some of the other versions still use the Rosso Diablo Corsa tyres, which my old Street Triple has fitted, which are brilliant tyres, it has to be said. But the Rosso Corsa tyres that the top spec bike has are in another league again. They're really sticky. They're a little bit more, I guess, track focused, but once they get warmed up they are very grippy, and even in wet conditions like this they're very confidence inspiring. Of course, the best tyres in the world and the best electronic rider aids can't overcome physics, so when it's wet and slippery like this you just got to be sensible. Of course, you can't ride like a hooligan and expect the bike to save you, but generally speaking, absolutely no issue riding the bike in the wet, just like any other motorcycle really. And the tyres on the Street Triple RS are particularly good. Let's just show you the lights on this machine, because Triumph have made some changes in the lighting department on the Street Triple. Sticker in the shade over here. So the lights then, this is with the bike just running normal daytime, and the light switch is in the off position, okay, it's in the fullest down position. And the lights that you get in that case are these. You get the dip beams, as you'd expect, and then you get these little running lights on as well. So it's very odd, in the off position you get the lights and the running lights, and then when you come and move it to the on position you get the little indication in here to show you that you've got the lights on, and then what you get are just the running lights. So it seems a bit back to front to me, but you know, so it's seems a bit odd during the day, but fair enough. What's it like at night? So at night time then, how do the lights work? Well, just like pretty much all modern bikes, the lights seem pretty darn good to me. So on the Street Triple it's a bit of a strange setup, as I hinted at earlier. With the lights, when you just turn the bike on and with the lights switched off, so there's no headlights showing in the display, this is just kind of the dip beam, and I can see really well. It's difficult to show on these GoPros because they never really show the full spread of light, so you have to kind of take my word for this to some degree. But actually it seems to be a very good headlight. I can see absolutely fine, and on full beam then it's a you know, night into day job. It just lights up the whole road. Full beam, no problem at all. Great light. What the thing that's a bit odd about it, if I just come down this little lane here, which will be even darker, is that the switch gear seems to be the wrong way around to me. So if I come off full beam, so I go back to normal, this is normal dip riding, I've actually got the switch on the handlebar. You can't see it because it's dark, but it's in the off position, so there's no headlight showing in the display. If I turn the light, flip the switch upwards, so the light comes on to show that I've got the headlights on, but actually that means the running lights on only. Look, I've got virtually no illumination at the front. That's only the daytime running lights. So that to me seems back to front. When the headlight is off, the daytime running lights are on, and you get the green light in the display. Just seems the wrong way around to me. But anyway, there we go. It's a small point. It makes no practical difference. Once you're used to it, you'd switch on whichever lights you need. But just seems a bit odd. The other thing with this is that the full beam operates the same way as the new retros do, in that you've got this little plastic trigger button that you press once to go to full, and then you press it again to go to dip. So there's no way of flashing the lights. You can't just press it briefly to flash it. You have to press it on and off basically to flash it. So again, small point. It's not going to make any difference as to whether you buy the bike or not, but to me that's a bit of a nuisance, because occasionally you do need to flash your headlights to say to somebody, you know, come on through or whatever. Although I know officially the highway code says you flash your light to say I'm coming through, so that's a confuser, but let's not get bogged down in that one. So yeah, so the headlights, brand new on this bike of course, with the new shape. You either like the new shape or you don't. And I suspect that the actual lighting units themselves are LED, because the light that comes off them looks nice and white as opposed to that sort of warm yellow glow that you get off of halogen bulbs. And they work absolutely fine, so no problems with the headlights whatsoever. The only other thing to mention about night riding, I guess, on the bike is that there's no, you know, the controls aren't lit up in any way. Now, not many bikes do that. I know some of the KTMs do. It would just make sense to me to have, you know, some backlighting on the controls so you can see what's going on at night, rather than having to just sort of learn off by heart where your controls are. But there you go, Triumph aren't particularly unusual in not doing that. And then the only other thing I suppose to say is that I've switched the TFT display from daytime mode to nighttime, obviously, because in the daytime mode, if you've not got it switched in on auto contrast, this is showing up in white and it's quite dazzly, so you do need to switch it down. So perhaps it makes more sense to have the TFT display set on auto contrast. I just found when I did that during the day, it was often changing between black background and white just if it got a bit duller, and that was slightly annoying. And I'd just like to know where I stand. But at night time, with it on this sort of darker mode with the black background, it looks absolutely great. And I've got this on style 3 now, which gives that speed indication in the middle, and then the rev counter all the way around the outside. Quite like that. But yeah, riding at night, no problems. The lights work well. I mean, I'm not a big fan of riding at night, to be honest. I tend not to ride motorcycles at night unless I have to. Just because I find no matter how good the headlights, you can't see as well ahead as what's going on, and you can't be seen as well. So I tend to avoid it. But if you've got to do it occasionally in the winter and stuff, then you're going to have no problems with the street triple.
Now, one of the things I'm fairly anal about with my bikes is making sure that they're maintained in tip-top condition. And one of the regular tasks, of course, that you have to do with a chain-driven bike is lube and clean the chain. So how easy is it to get the Street Triple RS off the deck so that you can actually do that? Well, it's fairly straightforward. I always go to my trusty ABBA stand, which looks like this. And you can use these for all sorts of bikes. I use this to lift my Panigale as well as my Street Triple, and you just use little adapters that look a little bit like this, that just fit into the swing arm pivot point, so you can use it to lift the bike up. Well, one of the things that they've done with the Street Triple RS this time, and possibly the others in the range, I'm not sure, is they put this little blanking plate or plug into the swing arm pivot point. So before you can actually lift the bike up to get to the chain to lube it, you're going to have to remove the plug. It's one Allen bolt, and then out it comes, and then you can use your ABBA stand. No big deal, but it's just a bit of a hassle that I didn't have on the old Street Triple. So providing you've got the wherewithal to just remove those plugs, then you can use your ABBA stand, lift up the back, lube the chain in the usual way. Just a little difference there between this and the older bikes. One of the other things that you have to do in regards to daily maintenance on a motorcycle, of course, is make sure the tyres are pumped up to the right pressure. So what's the tyres like to check on the Street Triple RS? Well, I'm really glad to say that Triumph have put those really convenient valves on here that are at a right angle, so it's very easy just to pop your tyre gauge on and check what the pressure is. And it works exactly the same on the front wheel, no problem at all. So checking the tyre pressures on the little Street Triple RS, fantastic. They fitted those right angle valve guides, which makes life so much easier.
So on to one of my favourite subjects then. Nothing I like more than spending a Sunday afternoon cleaning my bike. And how does a Street Triple fare? Well, I would say it's pretty straightforward to clean. There's not lots of horrible bits to get at like there is on, say, a GS or something where you've got lots of scaffolding to deal with. The gaps are quite large, you can get your hands in. There are no spokes to clean on the wheels, so I'd say this is sort of a medium bike as far as cleaning is concerned. Pretty straightforward to do. Definitely helps when it comes to the drying stage though. If you've got one of these hot air blower things, you can absolutely make sure everything is completely dry. So yeah, no problems at all cleaning the bike. Comes up lovely, looks great once you've spent the time doing it. So what's the new Street Triple like when you get to the petrol station then? Is it a faff or is it straightforward to fuel up? Let's go and get some fuel and find out. I think we'll treat it to some Shell as opposed to that nasty Tesco stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with Tesco stuff, I'm sure. Now some of the retro Triumphs I've been riding, been a bit of a faff with the fuel cap because you've had to turn them a lot, you know, it's not just a click and off, but a lot of twisting and clicking and been a bit of a pain. But this looks to me much more straightforward. So it's easy to get the stand down, and then the cap itself is just a bog standard lift, pop the key in, twist and open. Couldn't be simpler, just the same as on my older Street Triple. Very, very simple and straightforward, no problems there. The bike doesn't lean over too far when you jump off with her on the side stand, so you can fill her up quite easily. You're not left with the feeling that there must be a great gap once you line the bike up again. Perfect. I'm all triumphed up today. This even got me Triumph gloves on. I do like it when I'm all synchronised. So, as expected, no drama at the fuel station. Bog standard piece of cake fuel cap to take off and fill up, no problems there.
Okay folks, so that's just about it from my living with the Triumph Street Triple RS video. However, it would be remiss of me to close the video without going through some of the details, some of the small points that I've learned about the bike in the time that I've had it, both good and bad. Now, in the spirit of balance, I've got about the same number of bad as well as good points, and we'll start with a bad one so we can end on a plus. So there's a few things I've learned about the bike that maybe just aren't quite as I'd hoped. So I've written them down to make sure I don't forget any. The first thing is down here, the controls. The little joystick that Triumph have installed in order to control the fantastic TFT display, it's quite easy to get to with your thumb, but alas, it's actually very close to the indicator switch. And that means that I find when I'm riding, I get the two confused. So I either hit the joystick instead of the indicator switch, or I go for the indicator switch instead of the joystick. Just too close together, and it just, you know, it just makes life a bit awkward. I've found that whenever I have to indicate, I have to look at the handlebar to check that my thumb is on the indicator, not on the joystick. So I just think maybe that joystick switch, even though it's really good, maybe it'd be better on the other bar. Or just physically more separate from the indicator switch. It's a bit of a problem for bike manufacturers these days, how to control the new electronic screens, but I've yet to find a control mechanism that's better than the one on the BMW, which is the whiz wheel you spin and then you push one way or the other. You just cannot get it confused with another control on the bike. So that's my first down point, small point of operation, but nonetheless it's just frustrating and annoying when you're riding the bike. Okay, the second thing on my list of things that I don't really like about the Street Triple RS is this exhaust. I know it's had to be put there for Euro 4 reasons, and they've had to redesign that very much for this bike, but I just don't think it looks very good. I mean, I guess if you've got to have a dirty grate airbox underneath the bike, then that's maybe the neatest way to do it. But again, compared to previous Street Triples, I just don't think that exhaust looks very good. I just think it's an ugly exhaust. Okay, these are in no particular order, by the way. The next one I've written down here is tail end. Again, all bikes as new, or pretty much all bikes, come with hideous back ends that need a tail tidy. Well, this certainly needs that. But it's not just the need for a tail tidy on this bike. I just don't really think this back end works quite so well. For one thing, it gives much less facility in terms of having a pillion. This particular bike, in fact, hasn't got a pillion seat. It's got the cover in place, and there's a little pad that you can get instead that goes underneath. So I've not been able to ride it with a pillion to see how that works, even though you've got the pillion pegs. This back end is a bit more Daytona-esque and a bit more sporty, I guess. But for me, this backlight doesn't look as good as on the previous Street Triple. So it's just an ugly back end, I think. So that's another negative point that I've found. Oh, and while we're on the subject of the seat area, this seat looks very fancy and it's quite comfortable and it's nice and sporty. But again, one of the things this is missing over the old Street Triple is a strap. Now, I know this sounds a silly thing, but as a glasses wearer, whenever I was putting my helmet on and off, I always take my glasses off, hook them under the strap on the seat so they don't fall off, put my helmet on, then take them off, put them on, if you see what I mean. Can't do that with this bike, no strap. So again, it doesn't matter if you're not a glasses wearer, but for me, that's something that I would find awkward over the old Street Triple. Back to the front end of the bike, switchgear. In a way, I'm sad to see that they've gone with this PCB type switchgear, which means that it's not quite as tactile as traditional switchgear. You don't really get such a positive clunk when you move things. All it's actually doing is pressing on contacts on little printed circuit boards. And although lots of bikes are going that way these days, I guess that's the way of the future. I just don't think they're going to have great longevity. It makes them feel a little bit flimsy in my view. Okay, next thing, TFT screen, love it, but when you're riding along with the sun behind you, it's got quite a shiny finish on this TFT, so the sun can beat off it and blind you. Not a good thing. I think a matte screen you can probably, or in the future I'm sure you'll be able to buy a matte screen to put on there to stop the glare, but you know, I haven't seen glare on some of the other TFTs that I've ridden with. That one's just a little bit too shiny for my liking. Okay, next, new lights. Again, the Street Triple, it always splits opinions on the lights, doesn't it? They started off as round lights on the original bike, then they went to what were known as the Dame Edna lights, which are the sort of pentagonal ones that I have on my 2012 bike. And now we've moved to these more rounded lights that are the same as you get on the Speed Triple. Personally, I just don't like the looks of those lights and this deflector as much as on the previous machine. To me, it looks a little bit pug and just not so keen. It's just a styling issue once again. No big deal, you might like the way it looks, so that's fine. But for me, I don't quite like that as much. The bike handles fantastically. We get onto the plus points in a minute, but one of the things that did surprise me a little bit is with the new engine, I know it's again had to been put in probably for Euro 4 reasons, and they've upped the capacity, so it's kind of made up for the lack in power. I don't actually feel that the 765 engine feels, to me at least, any stronger than the 675. So again, if you're expecting a big hike in power, I think you might be disappointed. It feels to me exactly the same as the old engine in terms of power. Maybe I'm just insensitive, but that's just how it occurs to me. Back to the TFT screen. The auto contrast function, when it goes from day and night mode, it's just a little bit too sensitive. It flicks back and forth for no good reason. So I've ended up setting that in manual, and then I just change it at night so I get a dark background, otherwise it's too glary. The auto contrast is just a bit sensitive on that. Clutching at straws a little bit here now. I really am picking deep and stuff. No temperature gauge that I could find. Again, lots of stuff on that TFT screen, but I couldn't find a temperature gauge. I just like to know that the engine is you know, behaving within its normal parameters, so that was a bit odd. I think that's about it. Oh, one other thing, the light switch. I mentioned it on my initial review, I think. The light switch appears to be the wrong way around, in that it's in the down-off position, you're on dipped beam. When it's in the up position, which to me would be on, that puts it into the daytime running lights mode, just the little daytime running lights at the front on. Just seems the wrong way around to me. Small point, you get used to it, but just a bit of an odd design. I think that's it for the negative points. So then, I don't want to give the wrong impression. I've listed a great load of negative things there. There's loads to love about the bike as well. So some of the things I just wanted to pick out. First of all, of course, it's a Triumph. I'm a Triumph fanboy. You can tell by the shirt. I just love having a Triumph in the garage. So the fact that it's a Triumph, British built, British designed, I just think that's a plus point in itself. I just love the brand. So it's a Triumph. That's a good thing. Next thing, build quality. All Triumphs these days are built really well, and this bike is no exception. It's just got a quality feel about the machine. Nothing about it, other than maybe the switchgear, is flimsy. It's got quite a nice powder coating. Not sure about the colour scheme, but you know, it just feels like a quality machine. All these infills are done nicely. It's got you know, quality fasteners. It just you know, they've really thought about the finish on this bike again, and that works really well. Never mind all that though, because that fades into insignificance compared to the handling on this bike now. The new Olin suspension and the big piston forks up front absolutely transforms the way the bike feels on the road. The thing handles beautifully. It really is a joy to ride. The handling for me is the biggest plus point on this bike. The brakes, fantastic. It's got you know, the old brakes weren't bad, but with these Brembos on here now, the thing absolutely stops on a dime. I think it's got better brakes than any bikes that I normally ride. So fantastic brakes, and with ABS and traction control as well as part of the electronics package, fantastic. So that's great. The lightweight is something I always love about the Street Triple. 166 kilograms dry. The thing just feels light when you sit on it. It's non-intimidating. It's easy to ride. You've got to love a lightweight bike. The TFT screen, I've you know, whinged about it just now about the glare and stuff, but you know, it is an improvement. TFT is the way to go. Well, by the way, you can actually adjust this one as well. You can move it in and out, so you can get the angle about right. So if there is a glare issue, you can help it a little bit by moving it. But overall, I do like the TFT screen, I must say. It has a fuel gauge, which is great. The previous Street Triple did, but the very old ones, or pre-2012 certainly, didn't have a fuel gauge, so glad to see that as well. Range, seems to have a really good range. I don't actually know if they've increased the capacity of the tank or not. I haven't looked the numbers up, I regret to say. But this is telling me I'm getting about 160 mile range, which to me is pretty usable and pretty good. So that's a great plus. It sounds fantastic. The engine on this, the triple, just sounds amazing. The induction noise is great and it's addictive, and I love that about the bike. The quick shifter now that comes as standard on the RS works really slickly. Sometimes you get quick shifters and they're a bit clunky, but the Triumph version works really, really well, and that's a beautiful addition to the bike. They should stick them on all these Street Triples. On the RS it comes as standard. I'm sure it's an option on the others. If you're going to buy a Street Triple, get the quick shifter, do yourself a favour. Overall, I just think it's easy to ride, it's easy to live with, and top of everything, it's just a fun bike. It's a great fun bike to ride. You can use it for all sorts, commuting, scratching around the lanes, touring. It's a good all-round bike. As I say, you can commute on it, you can filter on it. It's just great fun. So all-round, much improved bike over previous Street Triples, no doubt about it. It gets a big thumbs up from me. Okay folks, so there we have it. That's my living with review of the brilliant Triumph Street Triple RS. I hope that's been of some interest to you, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.